and did this in like 2 drops, and yeah, it's fucking everyone lost their mind.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It was so scandalous. It's so funny that it's you. You were the guy. Like I've heard so much about it, and I was like,
the director of the film has now got one.
Yep.
And he
loves it.
He loves it.
Yeah.
And because he now works with his producing partner is Brad Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
So Brad Pitt has one now.
That's dope.
And I got sent a photo of Ben Mendelsohn wearing one, and it's great. It's like it's just cool because it's like it's the shirt that like I now have people like hitting me up and just sending me photos of like random people they've seen out wearing it.
It's been weird letting go of, I guess, my metaphorical firstborn for like my physical
Totally.
firstborn child.
Welcome back to another episode of The Flats. Couple of guests in today. Very keen to talk to Sancho back in The Flats. And we got Patrick from Hollow Bones, Gold Street Press, and a whole bunch of other creative stuff too. So awesome to have you both in. Very keen to chat and catch up as well. So what's been going on? What's been happening this week?
You go first.
This week's actually kind of hectic for me.
And just grab that mic right front to you.
Yeah,
there you go.
Cool. Yeah. This week's been kind of hectic for me. So yeah, end of the year kind of for Gold Street always ramps up because we do greeting cards and gifts and stuff like that, and so Christmas is always wild. And so we kind of look at it and we're like, okay, we better book a bunch of markets and so on and so forth. And this year we kind of tried to put an emphasis on, rather than just doing like I think like the Hague Park markets and stuff are great, but we tried to put an emphasis on like specialty things and like a bit more of a, I don't know, interesting things. And so like Sunday we just did one at the National Museum, which was actually pretty wild. Like it was cool because it was like a huge mixture of people. Like we're always like, because Gold Street stuff, if you're not familiar, is very spooky. And so,
I was gonna say like gothic.
Yeah. We're always the black sheep of anything that we do in Canberra. And so, so with that one, I was like, National Museum, you know, it's a museum, so we're gonna stand out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
But the crowd was like fucking teenagers all the way through to senior citizens, and so we actually did quite well because it was just such a diverse
range.
Yeah. And so we had that on Sunday, and then been preparing because tomorrow, Arvo, I'll drive to Sydney. We're doing another market. It's like a 2-day like expo thing called the Oddities and Curiosities Expo, I want to say. So we're doing that this weekend, and then the following weekend we're come back to Canberra for another 3-day thing. So it's like right now I'm fucking in the thick of it.
Yeah, get your hustle on.
But it's good. It's good. Yeah, because like I recently quit my full-time job to focus on this, so it's kind of nice to have shit to do.
I saw you post about that.
Yeah.
Take the leap.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's been a long time coming, but yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
Yep. So are you freelancing with Gold Street and then doing the band merch thing as well?
Yeah, because like kind of Hollow Bones. There's no like clear. It's all confusing, but like I want to put a big emphasis on Gold Street, like with my time, because it's just something that I really enjoy. It's something I enjoy doing with my partner Ellie, and it's always something where we're just like, we feel like this has legs if we can put the time into it. So I wanted to put the time into it, but also like for years I've just been freelancing as a designer for mostly music because I used to work full time in the music industry, and so I just kind of that's the kind of to supplement the income, I guess.
Yeah.
And but then there's also like Hollow Bones is also. Like I do clothing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's a mishmash of whatever I feel like doing, really.
Yeah, I remember seeing Hollow Bones like way back when, like first gen.
Yeah.
You were stocked in Trilogy.
Yeah.
And I just remember going through the racks and seeing it, and I was like, oh, what is a hollow bone? Like looking it up on socials, and I was like, oh, this dude's from Canberra.
Yeah. Well, it's like because like. Yeah, it started out originally with me and 2 mates who I've seen for a while now, but their brothers got Adrian and Josh Jung. They're from Canberra, but they live in Melbourne. Last I checked, they lived in Melbourne. We started together like 2010-ish, something like that. And yeah, it was just streetwear. Like that was the height of everyone wanted to start a streetwear brand. And so we did that, and we made stickers and t-shirts and stuff like that, and did okay. But and then eventually, I just started doing it on my own. Those guys split off and started doing some other things. And then I was always doing that as a brand, while also freelancing stuff. But then everyone was confusing the freelance stuff, being like, "Oh, it's Hollow Bones." I'm like, no, they're different. But the other thing didn't have a name, so I just was like, "Fuck it, just put it together."
Mishmash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it took years to figure that out because I was kind of just like, it's always been like the design stuff like this, like brands and band merch and stuff like that has never been the main thing I do.
Yeah.
So it was always just figure it out on the side at night kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it's always been, there's never had a clear direction.
Yeah.
But
You can see like a definitive style. Like it started off as more like illustrative.
Yeah.
From what I remember, and now you've got these gritty
And
textures.
I think that was just because it was like back then. Oh, like I think when it started as well, I was like, I've come up from the hardcore scene, and then at that time as well, I think because I was touring a lot with bands at the time, and then I was getting sick of the hardcore scene, so I was like, "Fuck this! I'm only listening to hip hop."
Yeah.
And so all of my work was very like hip hop based.
Yep.
And then I think as I just got older, I was like, I like lots of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put them all together.
Yeah, and you realize you can just play around with it. It doesn't need to be one thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what do you got going on at the moment?
Oh, I'm living the mum life at the moment.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty much just like focusing a lot of my time on the shop at the moment. So screen printing's actually taken a bit of a back burner.
Yeah.
Since I think about May. I haven't really taken on any jobs.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. I think I was a bit naive with like how much like the body changes during pregnancy.
Yeah.
So like my ab strength at the moment, like, is like a jellyfish.
Yeah, that's it.
And I just realized like with the screen printing how much
how
much I rely on that and the twisting motions.
Yeah,
so I've just had to kind of put that on hold until next year.
How is doing the shop with a little one though? Like how's
it's wild.
I've always wanted to do a shop, but anytime I talk to a friend that's done a shop, they're just like, it's all encompassing. It's
is.
your entire life, and I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah,
and so but also then having a child is your entire life.
I've found it's been like a whole journey, kind of like reprioritizing things, and like obviously she's like my firstborn, and like. She will now get 100% of my attention, or like the majority of my attention, and then whatever's left is what I allocate to the store. So it's been weird letting go of, I guess, my metaphorical firstborn for like my physical firstborn child.
But it's cool because you've like the shop, just like you've got support and you've got workers and it's cool that you've got that ability to be able to go
I can kind of delegate a bit now, which has been good, and all my staff are wonderful and have really picked up the slack while I've been away.
Fuck yeah.
I'm really
like
fortunate.
Going off to college and
that's what it feels like. So you got to let go. But I love it. Like when she's old enough, like when she can kind of sit up on her own or like move about, I'll just bring her in with me one day a week, because I just think it'll be totally rad for her to just meet the broad spectrum of people that come in through the store.
Absolutely.
And just like, just immerse herself in that community.
Because like my mum was a youth worker when I was growing up, so I grew up in like from age 2 I was at youth centres, and so I was just like there and meeting all these people. So all of my friends as a kid were either people that I went to school with or 18-year-olds who went to but I think that I think that was good for me, and I think bringing a kid to like, especially if it's your job, so kind of two birds one stone, but also it'll introduce her to people that, like, I think a huge part of being a parent is making sure that your kid has good access to other people.
I want her to be able to like communicate like her thoughts and needs and stuff. And I don't know, like my parents didn't so much encourage that. So I was always like a shy kid. They were kind of always like, just follow the rules, keep a low profile. Like life will be easy if you do this. Like, but I think the social...
You found your way through that.
Yeah.
But no, that'd be great. I think that'd be so sick. And then you can get a little mascot.
Little buddy to help out.
And then when she's old enough, you put her to work.
Minimum wage.
Well, I was talking to, like, I got into this long conversation on the weekend because, like, over the weekend, through Gold Street, we did a print of, like, just my favourite food in Canberra. And so, but just talking to some random person at the market about Burmese curry place, because it's the one thing on there that's closed. And and I was just like talking about how much I love it. But I started going there, I don't know, over like 10 to 15 years ago, whenever it was in the interchange.
Yeah.
Where there was a kid there who would work the register who was like 4.
Yep.
And then when it came back near Mooseheads, and he was a teenager.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I remember you when you were a child.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're still taking my money.
Yeah.
But it's
playing Game Boy and taking your money at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. That could be her. That's her destiny now.
Yeah. I love that when you see like the generational involvement in the mum and pop kind of stores.
Totally. Yeah. Because I've got this big thing where I'm trying not with our little one. I'm not trying to push any of my interests on him. I really want him to find his own shit and be like, I don't want to. But also, I love the idea of him like, working with us or doing anything that we do and just like making it. Because like that was the reason we started Gold Street, is that Ellie and I we just wanted to do something together, like something creative together. And so I love the idea of like when he's old enough, bring him in. Yeah. Do shit. And if he doesn't want to do it, that's fine. He can do whatever he wants. But yeah,
you can give him the option. I think that's what it's about, is giving options and guiding them along the way.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, because like I spend so much of my time just watching YouTube videos of like people going to delis in America or wherever, just little shops and stuff, and talking to the owners and everything like that. And the amount of times they go to like a bakery and it's just like, oh yeah, like my grandfather owned this, and then it went to my mum, and now it's gone to me, and it's like, I love that passing the torch kind of thing. So yeah, I think that's really cool. So maybe in like 50 years time, Sancho's will just be an institution that's going through the family.
Or she'll just be like, my mum's a smelly hippie. I want to be an accountant. Show me the money.
That's something I think about all the time as well. It's just like, because I think like with like myself and like friends that have kids, and we're all like, fairly like alternative, and we're not so like buttoned down, and like a lot of us especially like working for ourselves or anything like that. It's like, what's the kid's reaction?
Yeah, because you know how there's like that rebellious stage where you're just like, don't tell me what to do, even if it's something really cool.
Exactly. Well, it's like my like best friend growing up when I was like really little, like from birth. Her name was Marley, and her mum was a hippie. She was named after Bob Marley.
Yeah.
And then when she got to be an adult, she changed her name to Kate, and and she was like, I don't want to be part of
that. That's so beige.
Yeah, exactly. And just like completely like shunned anything to do with that. Yeah. She was just like, I just need to be normal. And it's like, so it's there's that reaction there. Yeah. So I hope he does. Like, I hope our kids don't do that. But it'll be interesting to see how. And well, like another friend of mine, I don't know if she wants to be named. I won't name her. But she's got a kid now who's now 15. And this is a friend of mine who I've known for 20 years. Yeah. So we used to go to shows together and everything like that. And now her 15-year-old daughter is finding the music that we used to listen to. Mm. And she's just like, no, I didn't want this for you. It's like, I lived it so you don't have to. So funny. So it's like, I think your kids will eventually just find things that because like, and it's like, there's so many things that I like that I would like find out that my dad did something as a kid, or as when he was in his 20s or whatever. I'm like, that's so cool. Yeah, so I'm gonna get into that. Yeah, and so it'll happen.
Yeah, as long as they have an open mind, I guess. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
and a curiosity that never dies with adulthood.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But,
where does your passion for movies come from? Because it's at the moment definitely a strong part of what you're doing.
It's a big it's a big part.
Was that a family?
Kind of. Dad used to show us movies and stuff as a kid, but it was kind of, I don't know. I don't know how that came about. It was just in school, and like in high school, I was just like, I'm gonna be a filmmaker, and I'm gonna start it. So I started doing like media classes, and I was shithouse at school. I didn't.
Just grab it up, Mikey.
Oh yeah, sorry.
We want to hear these stories.
Yeah. But I was bad at school. I didn't pay attention. I didn't do well in classes or anything like that. So I just put all my attention into media, and so my whole intention for years was to be a filmmaker. And so I went to film school in Sydney and did all that stuff. And then I was like, this is hard. Yeah. And so I kind of fell back on graphic design because it's just something I know how to do. Yeah. But I don't know. The movie thing has just kind of been, I don't know, it's just ever present. And so then when I started doing Hollow Bones again, I guess, as like, I'll start making my own things. I was just like, I just want to make T-shirts for movies that I like. Yeah. Where they don't exist. And now the bootleg kind of thing is huge right now, and everyone's got a fucking bootleg brand, and there's you could type in any movie and there's 15 different shirts for it. I'm not saying I was ahead of it, but it's like I felt like it wasn't as accessible when I started doing it. I only started doing it a few years ago, but
You do it so well. You definitely have an
it's so
aesthetic.
sick.
Yeah.
Well, that's like, yeah, I want to make sure that like it feels like if you buy something from me, you know what you're in for, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like I want to make sure it's good quality and everything like that. But also just like it's not gonna like there's so many bootleg brands that just do like here's the poster and it's on a t-shirt. Have fun.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that shit. I want it to be thought out a
Re-
bit. And,
remix it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Make it a bit more interesting.
Put your own flavour in.
Yeah, and it's like it's doing okay.
This one's hilarious.
Yeah.
That one is bizarre.
This is
actually
the
didn't-
The crazy thing because it's like I've seen these before. I
Yeah.
knew it was you.
Yeah.
And so
Which is nice.
it's like it's cut through. Like
Yeah.
it's really cut through. People are loving this stuff.
Well, the chopper one, I did not. I just so like when I was at film school, the last like assignment we had to do was we had to write a like it was they called it our thesis, but it's not a thesis. On pick a film, write about it, and then talk about it in a larger context. And so I wrote about Chopper. So this was in 2005. So Chopper came out in 2000, so it was still fairly fresh. I wrote about Chopper and like Australian crime cinema because I was like, this is it's a great film. And so I wrote about that. So it's been like just in the back of my head forever.
Yeah.
And then when I started doing shirts again, I was like, well, there's no chance that there's ever going to be a Chopper t-shirt, so I'll do one. And I originally just did one, like printed like 30 of them, and it sold out. And I was like, oh, cool. Printed another 30, sold out. I'm like, cool. And then I kind of didn't have time. I started Gold Street, had a kid.
Yeah.
Blah blah. And so now I work with some dudes from Sydney. Who
Was
helped
it
me.
this design that you
That
did?
design, yeah.
back in
And
the day?
yeah, just kind of did that design. Originally, my idea for that shirt was to have all of the dialogue from that entire scene on the back.
Yeah.
And I showed it to a friend, and he's like, "No."
Too much.
Because I was just like, it's such a funny moment. He's
It
like,
is.
Yeah. And so he's like, "No, you gotta simplify it." And so I did
Yeah.
that. Anyway, so yeah, ended up reprinting it earlier this year, and it's just gone crazy. And like, yeah, I did not expect
It
to do
basically went viral, right?
Well, yeah, like-
it was was it that brought back that line? Do you
Yeah.
think?
Well,
Was it the T-shirt
well,
that brought back the line?
Yeah.
I managed to just by pure chance time it with this year being so they tried to do a 20-year anniversary for it, but it was the middle of COVID, so they did the celebration for the 20-year anniversary of the film this year,
Yeah.
and it was released on Blu-ray and all this kind of stuff. So it kind of had a bit of upswing from the people who made the film kind of pushing it,
Yeah.
and then my T-shirt just happened to be out there, and I was a little worried that they'd not like that. They'd be
Yeah.
like, hey, stop selling a T-shirt with that shit on it. But then through like just a random series of connections, the director of the film has now got one,
Yeah.
and he
loves it.
He loves it.
Yeah.
And because he now works with his producing partner is Brad Pitt,
Mm-hmm.
so Brad Pitt has one now.
That's dope.
And I got sent a photo of Ben Mendelsohn wearing one.
Nice.
And a friend of mine, actually, as I pulled up just outside, a friend of mine who works at he paints like motorbikes in Melbourne,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just like, I've just been asked to paint Eric Banner's motorbike. Can you send me a Chopper shirt?
Yeah, mad.
And so I fucking oath I can send you a Chopper shirt.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he likes it.
Yeah.
So how many do you reckon you've sold?
Over 1,000.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which I never expected.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's like it's just cool because it's like it's the shirt that like I now have people like hitting me up and just sending me photos of like random people they've seen out
Yeah.
wearing it and stuff like that. And it's nice.
It's
that-
so cool when you see it in the wild. Hey.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the like it ended up. The director ended up getting one because this woman who she works in music in films and stuff, and she's worked on a few films that the director has done. And so she said she lives in Tasmania, and she said that she was at the airport and just saw a guy walk past wearing the shirt, and so she just took a photo of it, sent it to the director because she knows him.
Yeah.
And was like, I just saw this, and he was like, get me one.
Yeah.
And so then she found me.
Yeah.
Yeah, through that. So it's
Hacked into the mainframe.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
some searches. Yeah.
yeah. So it's a weird one. I didn't expect it to.
It's really cool. Would you ever like officially license it? Like
Well,
if they came to
I would
you?
fucking love to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like that was like. I think that was the original intention of this kind of shit was just to be like, I would love to be doing this for real. I'm not trying to like, I'm not doing it to be dodgy. If I could do it legit, awesome.
Yeah.
But it's not out there, and especially Australian film.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to just do Australian film, but Australian film there's no money in it. There's no money for merchandising basically. So there's no chance that these movies or whatever are gonna have T-shirts for them. So I was like, well, fuck it, I'll just make them then.
Yeah.
And so yeah, if like a company came to me, and like now that there's some Australian films that are kind of picking up, like there's Talk to Me.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah,
recently.
And because that got picked up by A24 in the US, and
Yep.
so A24 are very good at merchandising, so they did like a capsule with Online Ceramics, brand from the US.
I think they did a capsule collection with an Australian label as well.
Did they?
Like I can't remember the name.
Oh shit, I didn't see that.
I have to look it up. But
yeah,
yeah.
And so I think there is opportunities now. Things are starting to kind of pop up, and there's a bit more kind of coming in, and I think there's slowly, hopefully, more money and interest in Australian film kind of coming about, which could lead to other things, and then maybe that'll come to me. But
come on, A24.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Yeah, please.
Get the official bootleg this time. First, talk to me.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just it's a weird one. It's not something that I ever expected to be kind of what I'd be putting a lot of energy into. But it's cool.
But the people want it. I know,
Hopefully.
like my customers, like when they see the chopper one, and the other one,
the other one
that
I don't know
cannot be named.
I don't know if we can talk about.
Yeah. But they're
Why
just.
can't we talk about that?
There is a certain design that was available and had a lot of interest. That then drew some legal interest.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I probably won't talk about it on camera.
Yeah.
No, don't get yourself into trouble.
But yeah.
But they're just so nostalgic. Like,
And that's it.
Yeah.
It's just things that it's like, I feel like they're obvious. Like it's just there's classic moments in certain films, and especially like Australian, because like I work with the guys at Cardigan, and they've really kind of tapped into that Australiana kind of larrikin kind of thing, and there's just so much film and television in Australia that is kind of known amongst that community.
Yeah.
Like and then like that extends to things like the Chinese democracy, or the Democracy Manifest one, and so it's just like I just feel like a lot of the stuff is just like if it's done well and it's done thoughtfully and it's not doesn't feel like it's just a cash grab.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
So I was like, why is no one doing this?
Yeah.
How did you link up with the Brown Cardigan page?
So the Democracy Manifest one, there's a friend of mine who I know through music. He manages like Cosmic Psychos and the Chats and a few other bands, and and then he just messaged me one day and was just like, so the guy on the shirt who has various names, he's like I work with that guy, like I kind of represent him unofficially,
because I remember the Chats like had him in the video or something.
Exactly. Yeah. So because it's like Matt who manages the Chats, he's a filmmaker, so he shoots music videos and stuff as well. So yeah, he manages the Chats, and he was like doing a video, and they were like, we want the guy from the Democracy Manifest guy in our video, and he's like, how the fuck am I supposed to make that work? and he's like, who even knows where that guy is?
Yeah.
And so he just started doing some research, found him,
Yeah, nice.
told him, and he's like, you're a phenomenon, and the guy had no idea.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, you're a big deal on the internet.
Yeah.
And so he's like, the guy is a painter.
Yeah.
And he does lots of weird like paintings of himself, but like
abstract?
Yeah,
or?
abstract stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's a video on somewhere on YouTube where it's an interview with him where he did a painting of that scene.
Yeah.
Where it's young him getting arrested by old him.
Yeah.
So he's out there. Anyway, so my friend Matt was just kind of working with him, and so they did some merchandise and stuff, and just to make the guy some money. And then Matt messaged me and was just like, okay, we're gonna wrap up the merch. We're gonna like close down the store and stuff like that. So we want to do one final tee. Do you want to do it? And I was like, great.
Yeah.
So we did that tee. Did really well. It was awesome. And then Brown Cardigan saw that, hit up Matt, and was just like, who did the design? Matt put me in touch, and then they were just like, do you want to do some stuff together?
Yeah, nice.
And and they're lovely. It's just two guys.
Yeah.
I mostly deal with one of them. But
Here's a video.
20 loads of these blokes. Eating a meal and sucking on steakhouse.
I actually watched.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest. God, you've done judo before, haven't you?
He's a good actor too.
Yeah.
He's an icon.
I think one of the various stories about like who he is and what he did is that he was an actor, like a stage actor.
Yeah.
Which would explain why he's so theatrical. But then there's like stories that he's from the like there's Hungarian or he has like various names. It's very who knows what's going on with that guy. But I watched the movie like Napoleon, the new movie yesterday. And there's a scene in that where someone is getting dragged out of a room and they're saying, "I'm trying to enjoy a succulent breakfast." And
Do you reckon it's a nod to that?
And then they get arrested. And I'm like, is this a fucking... Yeah. Just when it happened, I was like, what the fuck? So it's, it's permeated through global culture.
He owns succulent now.
Yeah, exactly. You can't say
trademark.
at home recently, like after I did that shirt, I described something to Ellie as succulent. She looked at me like, come on now.
At least in Australia, and probably no one else knows what we're talking about.
That's the weird thing, and like because I have a couple of friends from the US and who all follow Brown Cardigan, and they're just like there's this like weird interest in the US in particular for weird Australianisms, and stuff like that, and so they know about that guy, because it's like it's just so bizarre, and I like. For us, it's kind of just like, it's weird, but it's Australia.
It's relatable for us,
Exactly. It's like that, I watched the other day.
They do get some wild content that I'm like, where was this video captured?
So much of it is like people just like incriminating themselves. And I'm like, fuck, go for your life. Like, have fun. But also, like, this could bite you in the ass one day.
Yeah.
But, good. It's great for our entertainment, so it's fine. But,
how did that connection with Brown Cardigan change your business basically? Like that did that just blow it up?
Yeah, it's like it's really put a lot more eyes on it, which is nice. Like before, I was like kind of just I would do some bootleg stuff, and like I said, like when I started doing the chopper thing, I was doing 30 shirts at a time or whatever. And like you printed some stuff for me. I was doing 30 shirts because I was like,
small batch runs, just to test the waters.
I don't know if I could sell this. Yeah. And so now I have a bit more confidence to kind of try things because I'm just like, well, like even if it doesn't work, I could figure it out. And just there's just more eyes on it, which is nice. Yeah. And so it kind of gives me a bit more freedom to try some things, and they're super chill and happy about it, and let me do whatever I want, which is nice. But
so you're like a resident designer for them now, or is it like just a job by job?
It's kind of job thing? Like it's kind of like they help me with my bootleg stuff. I do a few things for them, like we did because they have like Sweepy Boys, which is they've been done for a while now, and so we did like a new release of that where I did the designs in September, I want to say, where we did like a couple shirts and some footy shorts and hats and stuff like that. And so like if other stuff comes up where they're just like, we actually had some other ideas that we were going to try out soon. But it's like if they've got some ideas and like, hey, what do we try this? Yeah. It's just they now know that I can do it for them. Yeah. So it's not like anything official, but it's just help each other out.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. The flexibility is good.
Yeah, absolutely. But have you got any plans for the shop? You were saying you're going to go back to screen printing next year. Yeah. Are you going to try and like just grow that side of things, or is it? I
really want to. Yeah. So like, I guess my dream is to have a space where I can like merge the two, because currently like all my screen printing equipment's in my house in the downstairs, which it works for small volume. But like just before taking maternity leave, like the jobs coming through were kind of like at the point where I really need to train someone else up and maybe upscale my equipment. It's just a matter of finding a space that can fit.
Well, that's because like if you want it to be like also serve as retail, then it has to be a prime location. And have that walk through traffic and stuff like that. And so I don't know where in Canberra.
It's a hard one. I've looked around, but it seems like maybe I might have to relocate to a light industrial area and maybe focus online. And focus on shipping. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I've been meaning to ask you forever because I've always wanted to have a shop. Like, why did you open the shop in the first place? Like, what was the drive for
So first of all, it was to create a space where I could sell my own t-shirts.
Yeah.
Because I would write to like a few different outlets, and it was at a point in time where a lot of retail shop fronts were prioritizing rack space for like, you know, brand names that were known and resonant.
Yeah.
And I was like, why isn't anybody stocking my stuff?
Yeah.
And like in hindsight, it's because the designs were shit. Like now that I look back at them, I was like, ugh.
Right. We all go through that phase of our
Yeah,
the first
yeah.
times we do.
It's time.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like went from just selling my own stuff to then a few people in the community that I would meet that would vibe off the same wave and have
Yeah.
things that they wanted to sell but didn't really know how to connect to the marketplace.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, it'd be cool to have a shop that also sells, you know, other people's stuff. And then I realized in Canberra, you kind of have to guide your customers into new things.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I had to sell some like established brands
Yep.
to draw people in
Yeah.
to then open their minds to like a whole bunch of other stuff.
For sure. Yeah.
So that's kind of how the store evolved, I
Yeah,
guess.
sick.
And then it's always been a dream to also have like a pocket gallery.
Yeah,
And
fuck
so
yeah.
with the storefront window, the plan was like every 2 months invite someone else to do an installation.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
And it got like pre-COVID, it actually got like a lot of momentum.
'cause
and then
yeah.
COVID happened and I was like,
This is
this is too hard.
yeah. But
Like I just did not have the resources to allocate
yeah, absolutely.
to that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like always just been so like the idea that I've always wanted for a shop is basically what you are doing. It's
Yeah, I
just
think
like,
I remember having a conversation
Yeah.
with you. Was it something about a mobile
I had
vehicle as well?
I had to actually
Yeah.
I had this idea for years where I wanted to do a shop in a food van.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, I stole off. There's an old brand from New York called Cookies and Cream.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't very big, but they did that because they were just like, we're in New York and we can't afford a shop, so
Yeah.
they put it in a food van. So I have that idea, but I've like that was kind of stemmed out of the fact that I was just like, I can't afford to open a shop. I don't know how to do that. And then seeing you do it, and I was just like, oh no, this is possible.
Yeah.
Like I still don't know if I will, but I love that. I just like but it's that idea of like creating that kind of a community around,
Yeah.
and being like, yeah, you can sell your own stuff, and also giving opportunity to smaller brands,
Yeah.
or just like people that wouldn't necessarily be able to get like shelf space.
Yeah.
But also then creating that, like you were saying, guiding. So it's like if people are going in there for one kind of known product,
Yeah.
and then they find three things that they wouldn't
Yeah.
normally find, and then that then creates trust, and they're like, oh, I can go back to Sancho's because I know there's going to be shit that I
Yeah.
like there.
I love introducing customers to new shit.
Yeah.
And like I love hearing their conversation being like, oh, this is fucking dope.
Yeah,
Like what is this? Which your
exactly.
t-shirts actually get a
Oh,
lot
well, that's nice.
of commentary in store.
Yeah, but yeah, I love that, and it's like, and it's funny now as well because there's so many people that like I meet or like over the past few years, like I've met people like Britt, who was on this, and I've never actually met him in person yet, but like Hull,
Yeah.
did the stuff over there. But these are people who are just like kind of I've met through disparate things or just like random other things.
Yeah.
And you're the central like thing that everyone knows you.
Okay.
It's like, but it's cool though because it just shows there's all these different people with like different interests or different backgrounds.
Yeah.
Or, you know, different trajectories, but they're all kind of like
Just vibing off the
orbiting
same
around you.
wave.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's sick. I love that, and just like having a space like that in Canberra, it was like almost unheard of. Like because they're like.
It's just rent, man. Like that's
Yeah.
what I've learned is like rent can be so prohibitive.
Yeah.
And really dictates what can actually be established in a certain area.
Yeah,
And if
totally.
it hadn't been for the Lonsdale Street Traders
Yeah,
pop up, like
yeah.
I wouldn't have gotten a foot in the door. There's
Yeah.
no way I could have afforded
Yeah.
the overheads.
But that's
Yeah.
like, and that's I don't know why places don't do this because it's like it happened in Newcastle years ago as well when like everything in Newcastle was just like abandoned and shit, and so then they did a similar thing where they were just
Yeah.
like on I can't remember the name of the street.
Was it Renew?
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. And it's one of the street, Derby Street or something. Anyway,
Yeah.
But they did a thing that where they were just like, okay, your rent is $5 a year for the first year,
Yeah.
or for the first 2 years or whatever it is, and then just like open a shop and see how it goes. And
Yeah.
so all these galleries and cafes and shit, and it's bustling now. It's
Yeah.
great because they just gave people an opportunity to, because like any business, the start of it is just finding your feet and figuring
Yeah.
out how it flows. And so if you don't have to worry about rent,
Yeah. you can take more risks and be a bit more playful in your approach.
Yeah.
But yeah, they say like you don't turn profit for like the first 2-3 years or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, I remember talking with like the first person I spoke to about a shop, because I was like, when I was thinking about it, I don't even know when this was, like a long time ago, 15 plus years ago, 20 years ago. Because like one of my closest friends, Aaron, do you know Aaron Osborne?
Sounds familiar.
He's from Canberra, but he lives in
Yeah.
Melbourne now, metal dude. Yeah, like I've been friends with Aaron for a very long time, lived together, all these things. So he was friends with a guy named Lucy who owned Raven in the city. Do you remember Raven?
Oh, is that Lucy as in like Lucifer Lucy?
Probably.
Like older guy?
Older guy, yeah.
Yeah, I think I started working so back when it was like the record store before
Yeah.
JB-HiFi took
Yeah,
over. So
yeah.
I was part of the JB-HiFi takeover.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I met him.
Yeah, because he was there, and so he did Raven, which was like a goth shop, basically. It was in, I want to say it was like above Landspeed from memory, but I can't fully recall. But yeah, they just sold like weird metal shit and like corsets and stuff like that. And but I was in there one time because Aaron was there to meet with him, because he used to be in bands and stuff, like Lucy did. And so Aaron was there to talk to him about something music related, and I was there. And I was just like, oh, you've got a shop. This is so sick. I'd love to open a shop one day. And then Lucy was like, don't do it. It's so hard. And I was just like, oh, okay.
I totally get it now. Like, you know, like at Landspeed, there's the dude that sits at the counter and he's always like deadpan, like super lovely dude.
That's it.
But as a teenager, I'd be like, man, this guy's living the dream and he don't even know it. And now I'm like slowly becoming morphing into that.
It's so like before I came here, actually, I was working there's a friend of mine from Brisbane who used to run a record store up there called Kill the Music. His name's Paul. And Kill the Music closed in 2016, I want to say.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing the posts about it.
He was the first guy to stock Collarbones back in the day. And that's how I met him. But yeah, and like, so I'm doing a shirt for Kill the Music, even though the shop doesn't exist anymore. And I've done a couple since they've closed for them. It's just like, he does one here and there because he's a wedding celebrant now, which is bizarre. Yeah. But he loves, and like people still have great fondness for that shop. It was like, because they had like in stores and you know, did all sorts of cool shit. Sold clothing, music, or everything. And so I talked to him, I'm like, would you ever open the shop again? He's like, oh, fuck no. It's like, it was so hard.
Yeah. I reckon it's like the day-to-day and interacting with the customers is the best part about it. It's the most fulfilling, sourcing the new products, getting the range right. I love that shit. But dealing with like tax, commercial agents, and the banks, the dark triad, it just grates you.
That's see, because I don't like actually that sounds shit, but I don't mind the behind the scenes stuff so much. Like because I talk about the shop all the time, and then Ellie, for everyone else who's my partner, she's just like, you don't like talking to people, you don't like strangers, you don't like anything, so why do you want to open a shop? And I'm like, I like the other stuff, I'll do the other stuff.
But I reckon you're a good talker, like within your interests.
If I have to. But I think dealing with customers would be a thing that I suppose if it's your own shop though as well, because then it's kind of like they're there.
It kind of filters naturally, like your vibe attracts your tribe type thing.
Exactly. And it's like like the people that are coming to your shop clearly are interested in stuff that is coming from you. So
I do get the occasional, because like Lonsdale has gentrified a bit. I do get the occasional like kind of like silverback boomer like walk in and like you can see the shock, like the visible shock, and then they're like, just walk straight out.
Oh, that's like, the gentrification of thing. I was saying before, I used to live around the corner from here, back before Braddon was anything. Like when it was just like car yards. And then I moved, and I lived in a few share houses. Then I moved to Melbourne, and while I was in Melbourne, all this happened. And so coming back, and it's like, this is not the Braddon that I remember. This is there's like some, and it's like, even like with places like, because like with Gold Street, we do a lot of stuff with Pop Canberra. And like that's much more palatable. Than what you're doing. For better or worse. But the people there were like, who like, and we did a mural in Pop, and people were kind of coming past and even giving us like kind of funny looks, like because we did like a little bit of paint on the footpath.
Oh, I heard about that. It
Fucking-
spread through like all the
Jesus
residents upstairs.
Christ.
I was like, what is this scandal? And then I went and looked because I was thinking like it was this going to be this big atrocious thing. But
Because we were gonna do this whole thing spilling out into the footpath, and because it's like so the mural kind of bleeds down into like just like swirls.
Yeah.
And so we'll have that bleed out into the footpath, and so that it's like this cool thing. And so we're like, well, let's. And so we're talking to Gabe who owns it, and he's like, let's just test the boundaries. We'll just do a little bit and see what it says. And did this fucking like 2 drops, and yeah, it's fucking everyone lost their mind.
Yeah.
And we're like,
it was so scandalous. It's so funny that it's you. You were the guy. Like I've heard so much about it, and I was
it's so stupid because they're like, we're gonna have the Braddon Street Art Festival. Great thing.
Yeah.
But like they want street art, but they don't want street art.
Yeah.
Like they're just like not there. We want it over there.
Yeah. It
It's
has
just-
to go through X amount of approvals now, which
That's a joke.
yeah.
And then you got the bakery down the road, just covered that old building.
Yeah.
It's like a heritage building opposite Ben Spoke.
Oh yeah.
Which is just abandoned.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just covered in.
Love it.
It looks awesome.
Well, that's
And that would be a cool like place to do that like $5 a year rent.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
imagine that was just like it's just sit there empty for like
that's it.
Yeah.
3 years maybe.
Yeah.
It's been
Yeah.
empty, and you could just there's about 4 or 5 offices spaces in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just rent it out. Keep the outside the same. 'cause it's
Yeah.
just sick.
Yeah. Well,
That's what I thought, like, when I first moved to Braddon and opened up the shop. It had, like, Newtown potential. Like,
Yeah,
that's what I
yeah.
thought it would become.
But it's
like,
it's Canberra though, so it's
it was on its way, like, when they had the food truck village down the road. And
because I came back for like a visit one time, and people were like, "Oh, we're gonna go to the Hamlet." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck's that?" And then I went there, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
yeah,
this is
it was
like,
a vibe.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like it needs to be a bit rougher.
Yeah.
And just have that thing, and it's like what Braddon used to have, where it had those little like kind of like what you started out, where it's just like you have like a little
Yeah.
like, you just subdivide a little area,
Yeah.
and put some little shops or little offices or whatever in it.
Yeah.
It's fucking great. It's like
Yeah.
my parents live up in Wollongong now, and last time we were up there, we went to Port Kembla, and they're doing a similar thing there.
Yeah.
Where we went to there's a little shop called Yakka, which is like a bottle-o, but they they sell like cheese and meats, and they actually sell
Charcuterie.
charcuterie, but also also records as well.
Oh, dope.
It sounds very like that mixture. It's like pretentious, but it's cool.
Yeah.
But it's in one of those little things, and like just across from it, we found this guy who had a little shop front, and we're like, "Oh, so what's your story?" And he's like, "Oh, I bought a deceased estate, and this is all the stuff that was in it."
Dope.
And so he's just selling it all in this shop, but it's cool because they're just like little places where it's like you pay a little bit of rent,
Yeah.
have a shop for 6 months.
Yeah.
If it works, keep going. If
Yeah.
not, close it down. And like I asked my mum about it, and she's like, "Yeah, there was like a little co-op grocer for a while, and now
Yeah.
there's this, now there's a bottle-o, and there's gonna
Yeah,
be a
that's
cafe."
rad.
You need to do that shit.
That's
with
what I
Braddon.
thought it would. I think that's how it started.
Yeah.
Like, and like I said, the rent's becoming a bit more prohibitive.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it really, dissects what can and can't happen in the area.
Yeah, and since like it's funny because like when Ellie and I were in Melbourne and we were talking about coming back to Canberra, and we were kind of doing pros and cons and talking about it, and like Melbourne is obviously like a super creative place, and it's cool, but we were just like we missed the kind of the lower level creative scene, I guess, of Canberra, how everyone kind of helped each other and stuff like that, and then we could see shit like that with like the Hamlet and things kind of popping up in your shop, and we're just like there's a kind of community here that's bubbling,
Yeah,
that's starting to come
vibration,
up.
yeah.
And we're like we want to do shit in that because that's kind of where we came up, and we want to go back and contribute to that in some way.
Yeah.
And then we got back here, and not that it's still cool and there's lots of cool shit going on,
Yeah.
but then getting back when you're in it and realizing how much red tape there is because the ACT government is terrified of everything.
Yeah.
And it's like now with like shit like with Gold Street, we've been doing some events like movie nights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like learning, no, we haven't really run into too many problems, but like talking to venues and stuff and finding how many fucking restrictions there are on places. Like we did a night at Shaking Hand, which was like it's old transit bar. Yeah, old church bar. And now that's closed down because
Oh, they've closed.
they're closed because
I didn't even go. I didn't get a chance to go.
it was, and
Yeah.
it's because I went there when it was church bar. I went there when it was transit
Yeah.
bar. And then I went there when it was
Tuesday
Shaking
night
Hand.
karaoke.
Yeah. And it's like they had laid it out the best that room has ever been laid out.
Yeah.
Like that really opened it up. It was sick. They were doing really cool things.
Yeah, okay.
But then their public liability got increased by like 100, like fucking 100 grand, like so much more, to the point where they're just like, we can't afford to book bands anymore because we can't afford the public liability.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, we'll just try and operate as a bar without music, and it tanked. And it's just
Really?
like,
that's rough.
I didn't know it had shut.
yeah, like as in like a few weeks ago.
Wow.
And it's just because, and it's like,
insurance costs they've been wild ever since COVID.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's these like corporate institutions that, even if it's not like directly related to COVID or whatever, they just use that as an excuse to be like, oh, now your fees are going up because of blah 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 blah,
and
even though it's not. It's just
it's like same shit with fucking supermarkets and everything like that, where they're just like, oh, supply chain, so we have to put the price up.
Yeah, and it's like there's
fuck
no
off.
issue there.
There's nothing going on. You're just putting the price up.
Yeah.
But and so like, but it's I don't know the full story of it, but it's like, because what affected them in the CBD, because we had another night booked there that we ended up having to move because they were like, oh, our insurance has gone up, we don't know if we can do events right now.
Yeah.
So we then moved we played the Predator, and so we did that at Gang Gang.
Yep.
And so the problems that, like the insurance problems, Gang Gang were not affected, so they were fine. So that we went ahead and it was great. So it must be just a CBD thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
have you seen the new bar, Fun Time Pony?
No, so I was looking at
that would be a good venue.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have a screen and stuff, but
I was looking at it on Instagram like 2 days ago because,
I went and checked it out the other day and I was like, oh, this would be perfect for that.
Well, I'm keen to check it out because I went and caught up with last week. So a mate of mine has just opened a bar just near there in Verity Lane called Squeaky Clean. So it's upstairs, like you access it via Verity Lane, but it's on the, it's kind of just above where the Phoenix used to be.
Yeah.
And I was like, talking to him, I'm like, are you worried because they're just down there and they're doing kind of like dive bar kind of thing? And he's like, the vibe's different, so he's not too worried. But and then so I was like, oh, I'll look it up, and it looks sick. I want to check it out.
I think it's going to be really good because that area had died off.
Yeah.
It used to be like the central place where everyone would just go every week.
That's it, yeah.
The
and so I think the more people that are there is actually a better for everyone.
Well, and it's like, because that's the like thing, and it's like when we were there last Friday, Ellie and I had a rare date night, and we went there, and just seeing the kind of people flowing in and out. Well, we were there for 2 hours, but just seeing people kind of move down, because if you have various bars, and like I guess that's the vibe of that Verity Lane market, is that you have lots of different things.
Yeah.
People can just bounce through, move on to another thing.
Yeah.
It's like people aren't going out to go to one bar anymore.
Yeah.
They're going out to
It's like a sampler, so you can choose your flavor.
Exactly. And so if you have two cool things that are, even if they are like there's crossover in crowd and stuff like that, that's kind of great because then they both help each other. And is Funtime Pony in the old Pancake Parlour?
Yeah.
I thought which is fucking a great spot.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah,
it looks good down there.
And I think they're opening a deli or something as well. I think
it's like a 3-level thing, so but each level is a different venue.
Yeah, cool.
It's like a restaurant or something.
Yeah.
A cocktail bar and then the dive bar.
Yeah, fuck yeah, that's great. Because that's it. It's like this. The city is really, not that I go out anymore, but it just seems like there's nothing on really. Like I don't know what the nightlife is in Canberra.
Yeah, I'm pretty out of the loop of the nightlife these days as well.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know. I used to work at the airport, and so I worked with a few people who were like in their early 20s. I'm like, where do you go? And they're just like, oh no, we go to Grease Monkey. And I'm like, oh okay, that's not really like when I went out, we went to clubs.
Yeah.
So I was kind of
Got a good question here from the chat. Whole friend of the show in the chat. He wants to know, after your recent food illustration, do you have a favourite bar?
Favorite bar? Fuck.
Or a nostalgic one too.
It's a nostalgic one. See, I was sharing, so I had like a lot to do with Bar 32.
Yeah.
Because like I had friends who worked at the bar, there. I used to book shows there.
Yeah,
and
nice.
So I was there just all the
time.
Yeah, and even if I wasn't doing anything, I was just there. And so like Ellie and I were just, because like, it's funny because Ellie and I both grew up in Canberra. And we kind of travelled kind of parallel but didn't really know each other. Like we had each other on Facebook for years but didn't really know each other, and then we started dating. And so she used to go to Bar 32 separate nights to me, And so we're kind of sharing things. And so we're like, I was telling stories about like, and so I have a lot of like fond memories of Bar 32, but I would not say it's a favorite. But like stories of like my friend Sean, he had a thing which because we had our friends working the bar, so he would do things called glass party.
Yeah.
Where every time he finished a drink, he smashed the glass on the
Oh,
ground.
Jesus.
And he did it because he knew he wouldn't get kicked out.
Yeah.
And then eventually it got to the point where it's like, you can't fucking do this anymore.
Yeah.
Stop breaking all that glasses. So he started doing spit party where he just started spitting his drinks everywhere.
Oh.
And so like, yeah, a lot of fond memories from Bar 32, but I wouldn't, if I had the choice to go back there, I would not go back there. But like one thing that I think is like sorely missed because it hasn't really been replaced yet is Phoenix. Phoenix just had its own vibe.
Yeah.
It. And like
It
Ellie's
was very unique.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like Ellie's friends were all big, like they worked at Phoenix and they had a big
Yeah.
kind of thing there. And I only kind of went there sometimes.
Yeah, I used to work there too.
Did you?
Yes.
That's Canberra. But yeah, I liked the vibe of Phoenix. But
Yeah.
so when I heard that, like, and I like when I was here, I barely went there. But then when I heard it was closing, I was like, oh, that fucking sucks. Like,
Yeah.
it seemed like a place that should just be forever.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
It was very niche.
yeah,
Like,
and
yeah, it's hard to do niche things in Canberra, I think,
That's it.
sometimes. Yeah.
That's it. And it's like, I think, yeah, like, I don't know where the people, like, because like Phoenix also just had like a clientele that was just like, where do these people live? Who are
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
And so now that it's closed, I'm like, where did they go?
Yeah, where do they go? Yeah.
But
There's nothing really comparable.
Exactly.
Maybe
Yeah.
Smith's.
yeah, like
Smith's actually, yeah,
maybe- I
Smith's,
think
yeah,
some
yeah.
of
Where-
Yeah.
yeah, I think some
Yeah,
split
Smith's
off
would
there.
just do that vibe.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a weird vibe. Where did you used to go though?
The first foray into my nightlife was when I went to art school, and a girl in my year was like, "Come to this." Oh, what was it called? Sorry, because I haven't slept much, so my brain's really crap. But do you know where opposite Transit, where the
Not Toast.
Toast? That's
Oh,
it. Yeah.
Toast.
So
Yeah,
Toast was
yeah.
my first foray.
Yep.
And I just remember going and just being like,
Yeah.
what is this place like? Because it was such a mixed bag. It
Yeah,
was like
yeah.
it was my first insight into like Canberra hip hop as well.
Yeah.
Just like gothic nights. Whenever they played like "Killing in the Name of" like by Rage Against the Machine, like the dance floor would just be pumping, and I just remember sweat dripping off like it was the most lo-fi space, and they always ran out of alcohol. And
It's like from my memory of it, was that it was just basically an empty room. Like,
yeah, it was.
just-
Yeah.
Because that when I lived in Braddon, so it was when I was like 19. That was the bar that was where we went to.
Yeah,
so it was
yeah.
just like if we went out, we'd walk into the city and go to Toast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many times because like it's like pre-social media.
Yeah.
So we never knew what was on. So we'd
Yeah.
get there and be like, oh god, it's goth night.
Yeah. It was such a mixed bag, but I loved it for that.
Yeah, yeah.
And like it was kind of like it started off as this low rumble, and I
Yeah.
just remember it just got louder and louder. And there were nights where like kids would just spill out onto that courtyard area, and like there wasn't much in terms of security, so it was like anything goes.
Well, that was it. There was just like so many times where like, because I was like 18, 19 going there, and then there were like friends of mine, like this Dave, who's a couple years younger than me, so he wasn't 18 yet, but we knew that he could get in there.
Yeah,
so he'd
yeah.
Go there. So it's like, yeah, there's like, it was just that kind of place where it was
Yeah,
just,
and no dress code. Like, because being more of a tomboy, I hated wearing like boob tubes or
Yeah,
like dresses and stuff. So I could just rock in like with a torn pair of jeans and thongs and just be
Yeah.
like let in.
That's
Like,
it. And, yeah, I love that. It was just
Yeah.
it was a real kind of, I have this real like nostalgia for the 90s, like kind of, because like I said before, when I was a kid, all of my friends were like 18 at the youth center, so they would talk about like when I was a teenager, all I wanted was to be able to be old enough to go to Gypsy Bar.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I heard everyone talk about
Yeah.
Gypsy Bar, and then it closed before I was 18, so,
Yeah.
I never went there. But it's like,
But I think that crew, like a chunk of that crew, then went on to do Toast.
exactly,
Yeah.
and so like that's it. Like Toast just felt like that kind of the tale of
Yeah.
that period that I like
Just missed
imagined.
out on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that era of Canberra is like, because there's all these like bands from that era that like my sister used to go see and stuff. So before I was old enough, that I'm just like, yeah, I have a real nostalgia for that kind of like
Yeah.
mid to late 90s period of Canberra. And
Yeah.
Toast is that to me.
Yeah. Did you ever go to O'Shea's in Phillip? Like the green
Oh,
room?
yeah, the green room.
Yeah. That
yes.
was a neat little venue.
That was-
That was like really easy to sneak in as an underage.
Yeah. There's a great story of my friend Anastasia, who she had her 18th birthday at the green room.
Yeah.
She's going there, and she was like there, and then Gary, who ran the green room, was talking to her, and he's like, "Oh, so what's the occasion tonight?" She's like, "It's my 18th," and he's like, "You've been coming here for years."
Yeah.
And it's like at there one time, my friend Rowan came up to me, and Rowan was a guy who I just knew from shows, and got along with him. Didn't again pre-social media, so we didn't have each other on anything. And so I just knew him from shows. I'm like, this guy's great. And then he came up to me at the green room one time, and he's like, "Oh, do you want to come to my birthday party?" And I'm like, "Sure, what is it?" He's like, "I'm turning 16. And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
And it's just because he looked older, so he just got into shows there. So yeah.
But it was always a good vibe. It was very safe.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't.
And, and it's because I used to live in Western Creek then, like
Yeah.
as a teenager. I grew up in Western Creek, so could go to the green room and then just walk back home.
Yeah.
Just walk down High Marsh. So
Yeah. I used to work at the JB-HiFi in Phillip.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that was like through some other like co-workers. They were like, "Come check out this place, this show," and I was like only 17 at the time.
Yeah.
But they were like, just like stand in the middle of us, and we'll all walk in at the same time.
Yeah.
And just up the staircase.
Yeah. Love
Yeah.
that.
And just act confident.
Yeah.
Yeah. And got in. It was really cool.
Oh, it's like, and that's why it's a bummer that actually I was talking to my friend that I mentioned before, who's got the 15-year-old, because the 15-year-old wants to start sneaking into shows.
Yeah.
And so we've had like I've talked to my friend, and my friend's talked to her daughter, being like, I think sneaking in is good. It's like part of growing up and stuff like that. It's just about being safe, especially if you're a young woman, because dudes are creepy.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we're like trying to find ways where potentially if she sneaks into a show, I'll go to the show, and that way at least there's like someone nearby who's watching out for her.
Like with her knowing, or will you just be in the background?
Like with her knowing.
Like...
With her knowing. But yeah, it's like I think because like I used to sneak into Church Bar.
Yeah.
When I was not old enough, because it's so easy through that little loading.
Yeah.
Loading way through there. But I think it's a big part of growing up. You need to be able to sneak in.
Yeah.
Things. Yeah. But yeah, see, that's like those old kind of, and I think they were part of coming back to Canberra as well, because I was really missing Canberra. I had a shit job in Melbourne where I fucking hated everyone I worked with.
What were you doing in Melbourne?
So I moved down there originally because I worked in advertising, and
Yep.
it was whatever. But then I moved to the music industry because I was already freelancing in that, did some touring and stuff like that. So I got a job at a record label, which sounded great. The worst job I've ever had.
Yeah, okay.
Mostly just because my manager there, won't name him, fucking lunatic, horrible person.
Yeah.
But so I was like reminiscing of like things that I like, and so we sell it on Gold Street. It's this like Canberra print that just has little squares of like just little things, and it was all these things that I just remembered about Canberra that I loved.
Canberra-isms.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's like there's Phoenixes on there, and originally I had Church Bar on there and stuff like that, because I was just like, remembering all these like old venues that I used to love going to, and so I love thinking about that kind of stuff. But yeah,
It was like the golden era. Everyone has their golden era.
Exactly.
That was for me, and I still like those friendships that I made. Like I still carry them through adulthood.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when I was 18, I moved to Sydney to go to film school. Hated Sydney, so I moved back when I was 19, or probably still 18. No, 19. Anyway, but then the friends that when I got back here, then started going to Toast, started going to Phoenix and Shooters and Church Bar and stuff like that. And the friends that I made there are still my friends now.
Yeah.
It's just like that was, that kind of core
Bonding experience.
Exactly. Yeah. Because it just everything's just a little bit shitty, and you kind of had to figure things out together, and so it was really like formative. I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Coming of age.
You mentioned JB-HiFi a few times there. Do you think that had any influence in you starting the shop and how you shaped it? Or was it kind of like, this is what not to do?
I have such a funny story about JB-HiFi. So I got fired. And that forced me to get my shit together, because I was getting pretty comfortable in that role.
Yeah.
Someone suggested bringing in weed brownies to work. I brought them in. A staff member who wasn't in a secret ate one, got sick. Went home early. And then upon investigating, HR, the office ladies, the fingers all pointed at me.
Yeah, fuck. That's
So for a while, because like Sancho is such a unique name,
yeah.
I'd give out my resumes to like other jobs.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "Are you Sancho of the weed brownies?" And I was just like, "Oh my god, Canberra's so small. like, I'm totally unemployable."
What? Because I worked at JB-HiFi for a few years. What years was this?
It was when they moved to the city,
Yeah,
and just
okay.
opened up in the city.
Yeah, okay.
So I worked at the counter as like the weekend counter
Yeah,
manager.
Right.
And me thinking like, oh, Sunday's really casual. Let's spice it up. It was pretty dumb. Like it's funny now, but at the time it was
I
like,
love that,
like
man.
anything could have happened. And so
Yeah.
I totally get it. Like it was a liability.
But that was like because the years because I did 2 weeks at the city one. Would have been a few years after it opened,
Yeah.
and I worked in like the CDs, media, whatever it was.
Yeah,
CDs,
yeah.
DVDs. I can't remember the name of the manager, but he fucking hated me just from the jump.
Was
straight
it
away.
Beardy guy?
No,
No.
not Beard.
Yeah. Oh, was it the store manager
Maybe I can't remember.
with the glasses?
Glasses?
And spiky hair?
Yes.
Yeah, he was one of 5.
Yeah, he fucking hated me.
Yeah, Chris. I think his name was Chris.
Because
Yeah.
Alex Young worked there. at the
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
Because like I was friends with Alex, and I think he's the one who kind of hooked it up for me. And I got there, did not get along with that guy, so I got let go. Like they were just like, yeah, this isn't working out. And I was like, but then
You would have been a gun in that section, though. You would have known all
what?
things like.
Well, and then so I was like unemployed for a while, and
Yeah.
then I knew Damo who worked at Woden, GB,
Yeah.
and so he's like, I'll give you a job.
Yeah,
and so I
nice.
started working there. So I worked at Woden for a few years, and I think I ended up going back to the city for a bit. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Either way, but it was that vibe where it was just like, I can get away with anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like because I think it was like still early-ish days for JB where they were trying to be like, we hire people with tattoos and it's
Yeah.
cool.
We're edgy.
Yeah, and so they kind of just let things slide. So
Yeah.
then you'd be like, well, I'll push this as far as it goes, and then they're like, nah, no way, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also like JB got to the point where I just stopped going there. Like I don't think I ever actually officially quit, and they
Yeah.
never actually officially fired me. I just stopped going because
They just don't roster you on type thing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's because a friend of mine was working there, and she posted on Facebook just being like, she didn't even name JB, but she was just like, my job sucks or something like that. She had a shit day.
Yeah.
That was about it. So they went around to all of us to make us try and sign a piece of paper saying we wouldn't say anything bad about JB on the internet. And so I was like, I'm not fucking signing that.
Yeah.
And then just got into an argument with them, and they were just like, and then I was like, hey, you've stopped giving me shifts. And they're like,
Yeah.
And I was like, well, fuck you, then I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like, they were like cool until they weren't cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, no. But, I've still got some friends who still work at JB. Like,
Yeah.
my friend Dave, who I mentioned, he's in Melbourne now. He's a manager down there. So it's like,
Yeah, nice.
He still enjoys it. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's good for some people.
Yeah, it is.
Not for everyone.
Not for everyone.
Yeah.
Got a few questions, final questions here
Oh.
before we wrap up. But are there any plans for a collab between you two? You're stocking Hollow Bones in the shop.
Yeah.
Could we see a collab?
We've
Yeah.
talked
We've talked about it. Yeah. We actually talked about it a little while ago.
We talked about it ages ago,
Yeah.
and then it was my fault. I just kind of disappeared, vagued out because I was
a lot on your plate.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not great at managing my time.
Oh, neither. I think it's the creative curse.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's like with things like that because
Yeah.
we were talking about it and you like sent through ideas and I was like, this is so fucking sick, and I was
Yeah.
so into it, and I like started playing with some stuff, and it was always in the back of my head like whenever I go to sleep I always like just sit there and think about things that I'm
Yeah.
going to be working on, and so I like was thinking about it for ages and like great, and then I just never did anything, so I'm sorry.
No, you're all good. I totally get it. Like, it happens a lot when I like reach out for collabs.
Yeah.
And I like totally get it. If the other person doesn't hit me back, I'm just like, oh, they're in a busy patch at the
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
Like, I'll leave them be.
Yeah, but I'm so fucking keen. Like,
Yeah, I'm
I'd
keen
love
too.
yeah.
So it'll be like, this year is actually 10 years of dirty laundry.
Fuck.
But I just don't have the energy to do
Yeah.
anything
No,
like at the moment.
Yeah.
So I really want to throw down something next year, but I'm
Yeah.
just trying to figure out like where, how, and what kind of like possible funding I can get.
Yeah, totally.
But
11's
yeah.
a big milestone anyway. No one talks about
11.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And should Millie move back to Canberra? Is another question.
It's my friend Millie.
Ah, nice.
I say yes, but also she's moved to Melbourne, and I think she needs to give Melbourne more of a chance because I fucking loved Melbourne. Like, I didn't leave Melbourne because I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I miss Melbourne all the goddamn time. I love it there, but also it'd be nice to see her more often. So
awesome. And one more thing I wanted to ask you about is I was doing a big deep dive into Hollow Bones and your music background, working for some people and some kind of iconic things popped up, and I'm like, oh, that was you. Like the Brig stuff.
Oh yeah.
AB original stuff, like those logos. The Violent Soho.
Yeah.
Was that the album cover?
So I didn't draw the album cover, but I worked on some shit with them.
Nice.
Because that was when I worked at a record label in the Violent Soho stuff was working with at a record label, which they were managed by a guy who worked at the label, and then James from the band started his own label called Domestic Lala, which is still going. And that was kind of like an imprint of where I worked. And so I did a shitload of stuff with Domestic Lala and worked with James a lot, which was cool. The Brig stuff is just, he used to be like because I've known him for fucking forever. He used to be managed by a good friend of mine who doesn't work in music anymore. But, and so he hooked me up when Briggs did his first EP, which was it Homemade Bombs? And, I didn't do anything on that EP, but he was just like, oh, we need some stuff for, I think I just did like some fucking like web banners or something. And so I did a couple things and then just met Briggs. I think I might have just moved to Melbourne, or I was just in Melbourne a lot. Anyway, met him, got along with him really well. And so we kind of just stayed in touch. And now, I do a bunch of stuff for AB Original, and
Yeah, nice.
I've got to fucking do a new logo for him at the moment, which I haven't started yet.
Is that one of yours? Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a t-shirt that I did.
Yeah, that's cool.
And he's just a good friend. He's just always been very, very lovely and gives me good opportunities. And like when it started out, it was like I would help him out with things, and then he'd be like, "I'll pay you later." And it was like now he's actually got some people behind him. So now it's just like, hey. So then I'll get like copied in on an email for like he's doing a thing next week. I want to say week after he's doing another like show in Shepparton. AB Original doing a show in Shepparton with a bunch of other artists, and it's supported by Vic government. It's called Always Live, and it's this big initiative they're doing. Like Always Live is like brought out fucking Christina Aguilera.
Oh, really?
They're doing all these like shows through Victoria.
Yeah, cool.
And so them and AB Original are doing one, and so I got copied in an email with the guy, and he's like, he's doing the artwork. Talk to him.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh fuck, thank you.
That's awesome.
So now he's got some some people behind him, and it's nice. He's very. Yeah, he's a very loyal person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
I think most creatives are, hey.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
And it's like you don't help people out so that eventually they can help you out, kind of thing. It's just, but I got along with Briggs because he's obviously a rapper, he's a hip hop dude, but he used to be into like punk and hardcore and stuff like that. So we came from a kind of a similar place, so we just have that kind of similar, I guess, ethic about things.
Yeah.
And then we just like the same shit, so we just
kind
of
vibed.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he's a good dude.
Unreal, awesome. And Sancho, I also was digging into your website and saw those awesome reviews that a few customers have left. Are there any other good ones recently? The Google reviews, the 1 stars like. You should stock more Supreme. And,
it was just
this story is just trying to be Melbourne.
Yeah. That was in the early days before Lonsdale kind of developed a bit of an identity, but it was just kind of in the pop-up days, and people were really confused with what the store was and what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
And like they would just say these throwaway comments like to my face, and I'm just like, this is just my livelihood. Like.
That's the fucking insane thing I've noticed about with us doing markets. If you have like a in-person retail space, people are just like, oh, I can give you my opinion.
Yeah.
It's like,
and you can't escape because you're behind the counter. Yeah. Like, there's nowhere to go.
It's like that. Nowhere in regular life is that acceptable. Yeah. Why are you doing this now?
Yeah.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah, definitely get some characters through. And have
now
had
it's just
some
the 5 stars all the time, I'm sure.
That's something that like because like Gold Street doesn't have Google reviews or anything like that, as far as I know. But the idea of people being able to review me online terrifies me.
Yeah. I just think it's funny now. Like you kind of get this thick skin. Like I remember when the store first started, I still occasionally get shade thrown. Like, you know, like this isn't a graffiti store. Like, and sometimes you get like out of town blow-ins.
Yeah.
Just being like, you know, vandalism through and through. And like, I guess my store is like situationally like teetering the line of like design and you know, it's not like a thuggish graffiti store. You can see they get a bit confused, and then like majority of my staff are female and they're a little bit like what is going on here? Well, but it's just like whatever. Like it's the evolution of, you know, like things can't always stay the same. You gotta like evolve, change, adapt.
Exactly. And
you know, get excited by some new influences.
That's it. Like, you know, graffiti and shit it's an art form. It comes from that. So you're just supporting various art forms. I just feel like creatives, like all like deep down, we're all vibing the same wave. Like we just want to have the freedom to like creatively express like our thoughts, ideas, influences. Yeah, exactly.
We just like do it in different ways.
Yeah. Exactly. But fuck.
Unreal. So good to chat to you guys. Thank you for popping in.
Oh, thanks.
It was an awesome chat, and keen to see these collabs and what comes next.
Next year I'm fucking.
I'm keen.
We're getting it done.
Yeah.
This is a promise.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you.